I appreciate you coming too, because this is an important issue that is of public concern. What is happening here in Rancho Cordova that's led to us filing a lawsuit on behalf of all the homeless people in Rancho Cordova who are harassed by the police is that their constitutional right to be is being violated. The Rancho Cordova police are constantly stopping homeless people and demanding that they leave town. They're searching them without probable cause, without reasonable suspicion, in violation of both our state and our federal constitution. And we filed a lawsuit to stop this happening. We can't require Rancho Cordova to provide for homeless people. We can't provide for them to make jobs for homeless people, to provide health care. We can't do that. That's our politicians' job. And if the politicians get their priorities straight, they'll see that it doesn't make a lot of sense to use police to try to deal with a social issue. But that's not what we can do. What the law can do is only enforce the Constitution. The Constitution says stop harassing, stop arresting, stop searching people without reasonable suspicion or probable cause. And that's what this lawsuit's about. We're going in tomorrow to seek what is a temporary restraining order. That is an order that will be pending the hearing on a request for a preliminary injunction to get a court order to say to Rancho Cordova and the city police, this is illegal, and if you think you have justification for doing this, then you come into court and you explain why you should be doing it. What the officers in Rancho Cordova are telling people is go to Sacramento. That if you want to get fed, if you want to sleep there, go to Sacramento. They have services for you. But we're not going to do it here, and that remains to be seen what the people in the town want to do. Now I know there's a little group of people who have heard that we're doing this press conference who may have something to say, and these are examples of a different end of society, that they believe that homeless people shouldn't be accommodated, that their problems are somehow their own fault, that society doesn't have a structural problem that results in a certain percentage of people being homeless. Well, that's their right to think and feel that. I just hope that the political forces in town will see things differently, affected, I hope, by what the judges in our county say that they have to do. So we have an opportunity to ask questions of both Chris and Cassandra, or me, if you choose.
I got a couple quick ones for you. First of all, Mark,
sure.
One of the things that you cite in the lawsuit is Bain, and if I'm not mistaken, that's like personal rancor. That's these officers are going after these people. Can you explain
Yeah,
that out?
The Bain Act is a section of our civil law that is very similar to the federal Civil Rights Act. That says that if a person's civil or constitutional statutory rights are violated by officers in a way that is coercive or oppressive, then they're entitled to sue and recover damages. It's sort of the equivalent of a federal Civil Rights Act.
Gotcha. And what's the idea of having specific? I mean, you single out a couple officers in specific in the suit. Why not just sort of go after the policy or the city of Rancho Cordova in general?
Well, the city acts through its officers, and they've acted in this case specifically against Christian and Cassandra through these officers whom we've named. So we know them. We don't know necessarily the 50 or more other officers who are engaged in similar activity against other people. So we have sought their names, and we identified what we call does 1 through 100. And when we get them, then they'll be added. But under state law, the city is responsible for the actions of its officers. So we're really suing Rancho Cordova as well. But we're naming the specific persons through whom they've acted.
Are Christian and Cassandra doing anything illegal when these interact? I mean, you sort of described some specific interactions and some of the things. Are they doing anything illegal, engaged in any illegal activities when these take place?
No, they're not being arrested. They're being harassed. I mean, for an officer to stop, detain, search, question somebody against their will is an act that is restricted by the Constitution. It says in order to do that, you have to have justification. And that same justification would be justification for an arrest but they're not arrested, they're not cited, because neither one is on probation or parole, and neither one is committing any act. They are just living here.
Panhandling or trespassing are going to be things that are commonly cited.
Well, panhandling's not illegal. In fact, it's protected by the First Amendment. That's one of the things that people may not realize. There's certain kinds of panhandling. It's called aggressive panhandling now in the county of Sacramento, or panhandling within 25 feet of a ATM or something like that. That may be illegal. As far as trespassing, well, trespassing, this is not trespassing. We're on a place where the public's invited to come for the benefit of the owners of the facilities to patronize those shops. That means if people are invited on, then they can do everything on that property that goes along with it. They can engage in free speech. These are what are called quasi-public areas. And if an owner of a shop believes that a particular person is interfering with their business, then they can request the police remove the person or they cite them for trespassing. But that's not what's happened here. In fact, because there are people who do have a heart and soul, who in fact own and operate some of these businesses, they not only allow the people to be here, but they somehow support them. They allow them to use electricity, allow them to use the facilities, which is the way all of us should treat those who are less fortunate. I mean, all of the Christian values that we have say we should be concerned about the poorest of those among us. Our duty is to care for those people, to help them. And it strains my credulity when I see people who are so angry that there are people who are less fortunate than they and who want to force them out of the areas. So that's what we're trying to do, and I hope that we'll be successful.
Final question for you, and I got a couple for you guys, if you don't mind. But can you sort of context this for me as a piece of sort of a larger, our region in general tries to wrangle the homelessness issue? Can you context this action for me sort of in that larger?
Well, I can. There are lots of pressures now to deal with the bigger endemic questions, and those are health care, mental health care, housing. And as money gets freed up, which is essentially federal money and tax money, if we want to do an increment, then these issues will be addressed. But now we do include, for instance, in all new development, construction, a requirement that there be affordable housing, so that people who are living on a very fixed or low income can actually manage to find a place to live. That's a big problem. So I think that as our society, as our economy tanked following 2008, we saw more and more people losing their jobs, losing their houses, and becoming homeless. And that changed the context. Instead of the old approach to homelessness, where there were facilities that were adequate, let's say, for shelter or food, churches stepped up and took responsibility, we found that those were drying up, dying. So now it's more of an apparent problem, especially as people are being fenced out of areas where they traditionally were able to sleep at night. So that's the bigger picture. We have also with us Sister Libby, who's the executive director of Loaves and Fishes, and she knows very well what some of the bigger problems of dealing with homeless issues in Sacramento County are.
Yeah, the reason I came out here from the city of Sacramento is because Rancho Cordova is a great city, and the community is from very poor to very rich, and the community can come together to support the very poor too. And so it's a matter of getting the right resources right here in this community. And these are an example of they're not able to access a lot of resources here in Rancho Cordova.
But if I could talk to them.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.